So, hi Ramandeep. This is my PM Adda channel where we are going to study about product management. It's basically a starting to any product manager community. So, we are going to learn about product management. I would first like to introduce myself. So, my name is Jatin, and I've been in the product industry for last 3 years. And I've worked on implementation, strategy, growth, and also have the experience to try strategize the product from zero to one, and also have scaled 1 to 100 products as well. I lead a team in my current company in the product management department. So I would like to share my experience and also try to make you understand about the product management so that you can join a little faster into this domain. I would like to know, like, can you share your experience as well so that we can have a very quick chat?
Yeah, sure. So I am Ramandeep Sharma and I have like 7 years of experience in the data science field. So I have started my journey with the Wipro as a business analyst, and then right now I am working as a data scientist in United Health Group, in the subsidiary that is the Optum. There I am working from last 3 years. So here in last 2.5 years we are building one product. So from there I got the interest into the product management, and I felt like that I should go into this and pursue this field or explore this field more. Yeah. So this is my experience right now.
Sure. So that would be a very really helpful thing, and I would surely believe that my course and my like what I'm teaching would be able to surely helping you out in like going into the product side. Cool. So first today we are going to start understanding about what is basically a product. So a product is anything or any solution that you provide to solve any problems or generate revenue by providing a good customer experience. It can be a tangible product or intangible product, but it must benefit users and offers unique value to stand out into the market. Like it should be having some advantages, some key factors that you are solving. So it basically helps the like it should be aligning with like both the aspects. It should benefit the user and it should have some business out of it. So that is basically a product whenever we come into the product management industry. So coming into the next, the question is like first, who is a PM? Like what is basic general role about PM? Before you enter into this role, it is a very critical thing to know who is basically a product manager. So a product manager is not a person who have like a very highly technical skills, or let's say he must know a good business skill. That is not the case. A PM is a person who holds a general knowledge about everything, and he's the master of all. He owns the product. He's like the CEO of that product, and his main goal is that he ensure that he's delivering the product in a right manner and ensure that no team is getting blocked. He's available in the strategy, he's available in the marketing, he's available in the development, he's available in the system design as well. So he is involved in the every critical part, and everything and high level of knowledge of every domain is a must for a PM. So, like, I would like to describe you about the salary so that you are also motivated among like what is the average salary or like the starting salary does a PM earns in India. So, starting from Sprinklr, a fresher earns 16 lakh per annum, and basically as soon as they shift to 3 years, it's 30 lakh. Razorpay 18 lakh, 28 lakh. Mastercard 16 lakh and 25 lakh. Fresher for Zomato earns 18 lakh per annum and experience is 30 lakh. Zepto 14 lakh 24 lakh, Engine 1 22 lakh 35 lakh, BharatPay 15 lakh 30 lakh, Farm Easy 18 lakh and 30 lakh, DotPay 16 lakh and 24 lakh as experience, and Swiggy has 12 lakh and 24 lakh as experience. So an average fresher who is in the product management industry earns approximate about 17 to 18 lakh per annum, and when it goes to about 3 years experience, it is an average that he earns 32 lakh per annum, and that is generally a base pay that I have experienced in like my current organization. Now we basically are going to look how does a PM interview generally looks like. So a PM interview is divided into six major categories. First is the hiring manager review or your resume round, where you are going to have your resume and it's going to be screened by an HR to share with the hiring manager. The hiring manager check whether you have the highlighted keys, would respond like he will match your profile with the JD and try to match whether you are a right fit for the candidate, and then the HR call will be scheduled with you. The HR call will be aligning basically to know about what is your current responsibilities and how it aligns with the role. And if you are aligned with the role and your salaries and everything is in the perfect fit for the company, they start to have a discussion about the next rounds. Then generally the companies keep a hiring manager alignment call where the hiring manager jumps on the call and see a very high level overview by giving you a product case study, and he basically checks out how you are thinking out for the solution. And then you go into the technical rounds where you have a discussion with the team, and you have various types of round here. I will be discussing that in the next slide. And then you end up with an engineering round, and then you are bingo, you got an offer and you have negotiations. So what are the standard PM questions does the candidate generally get into, like when they are in the product management interviews? So they get questions related to product improvement, product design, deep dive questions, behavioral question, estimation questions, product metrics, product pricing, product launch, testing, product roadmap, and strategy based questions. So we are going to cover these 11 parts in the product management interviews in the 11 days, and then we are going to have a mock-up product interview in the end of the 13, 14, and 12, 13, 14, 15 days. And our major strategy is going to be that we are going to work 15 days to have 15 days preparation, and then we are going to jump into the interviews by applying on like different websites, and let's see what's the result going to be, and we are going to improve after that. So this is a very high level overview. Any doubts till now, so that we can start our first session?
No, 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 I'm good.
Okay. So the first question is the guesstimation questions or the estimates, where is like a guesstimate is tendency for product manager to check and confirm the numbers. Like whenever you are in an industry, and let's say you are, let's say cars 24, and you want to know like how much is the like the second hand car market, how what is the total market that you are going to address, how many customers are going to be there. So that is a number that is a very critical highly component for any business to work upon. So that's why a guesstimate plays a very high crucial aspect. Whenever you are given a basically a guesstimate based problem, your your way of solving is going to be that you are going to break the problem into multiple sub problems, and you are going to break it as minute as you can, and then you are going to have an assumption, and then you are going to go into a calculation. So I have attached the resource which I personally use for the guesstimates, and you can explore the questions. You can practice 15 questions daily, like, or 20 questions daily, and you will be able to cover like one fourth of the book, and you would be getting a highly glimpse of how a guesstimate works. So we are going to start with the first like these are the guesstimates. So the generally the questions look like: you need to assume the number of petrol pumps in Delhi, amount of revenue generated by the petrol pumps, how what is the road length in Delhi, how many airplanes are at Delhi airport today, how many number of flights are taking or terminating. So these type of questions are there, and these are generally helpful for a business to understand. Like let's say if I am introducing with let's say my vending machines at the airport, if I am not able to estimate the number of audience that is visiting an airport in on the day-to-day basis, I would not be able to predict how much revenue I am going to earn. I am not able to predict how much whether I should be investing on this in this business or not. So a guesstimate plays a very huge criticality. Any doubts before we jump into the first question?
No, 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 I'm good.
Okay. So let's say a product manager interviewer comes into your area and say that, hey, Ramandeep, let's start with a very quick question that we want to introduce, let's say, vending machine at the petrol pump, and I need to have a number of petrol pumps in Delhi so that I can estimate how many vending machines should I manufacture so that I can cater to the most of the requirement, and then you will be going into the further product-based strategies. But before that, you need to have a very high level number of petrol pumps. You cannot go and Google into the interviews and see how many actual numbers are there, but you should be thinking of a good numbers. So that's where the product management comes into the picture. So whenever you encounter any such question like number of petrol pumps in Delhi, you first need to think of what should be my approach. Like you should be thinking from your logical, like petrol pumps are generally along the roadside. It's not like in an open area, or let's say in a ground, or
Yeah.
let's say in a residential area. It is always going to be on the roads. So if you would be able to see in Delhi, let's say if you are residing in Delhi, you would see that in Delhi, every 1 or 2 kilometers there is generally a petrol pump, or let's say 2.5 to 3 kilometers. So if I would be able to calculate the total road length, if I would be able to have a number of how much road is there in India, in Delhi, then I would be able to drill down into the further numbers by dividing, and to get an approximate number. So there are multiple approaches of a guesstimate. You can think of any solution. The major part of a guesstimate is that we are not going to look upon how you are looking out to the solution and whether it is a correct or not. It is basically how you are solving this particular problem. So
Hmm.
first, let's say let's go with this question and see how we are going to move forward. So basically, petrol pumps are located at the sides of roads and, like as discussed, like major roadways, highways, and other things. And we are going to
mm,
move with the estimation of the length of the roads and then place two petrol pump at a suitable distance. Like as I told, like this is going to be a general observation. I generally assume 3 kilometers to be the case, so that's why. Now, when you want to go into area of Delhi, basically to
mm,
calculate the lengths of the road, I need to calculate. Basically, I know that we know the total area of Delhi. I can estimate the number of area of Delhi. Then I'm going to divide that with the division in the residential, commercial, and I would be able to get the road length, like how much area does a road compare. I'm going to divide that by the width of an average road to get the total length of the road, because basically you can assume in total area and minus the roads area can be further divided because the roads have some width as well. That will be able
mm,
road, basically an area is length into breadth, right? So you
mm,
can calculate the length by dividing by the width, so you get the number of the length. So
mm,
how we are going to assume the total area of Delhi? Either we can Google it, or if we are not going to Google it, we know that Delhi have the most coverage by the metro stations. Like Delhi have some metros which is like covering end to end, and blue line and yellow line metro stations are like blue line and the yellow line are the biggest metro stations line. So
mm,
I know that the blue line and yellow line have approximately 30 stations each. Like by I go through Dwarka, or let's say I have gone through these
mm,
line and see that majorly there are 30 stations. So if I would be keeping 30 lines, 30 here and 30 here in the lines, basically I can calculate the approximate area by assuming that Delhi is a square based model. I would be calculating that it is half into 60 into 60, which gives me 1800 square kilometer of area is there. Are we
mm.
aligned till now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now here comes the major picture, that is going to be that how you are going to assume numbers. And while you are in the conversation with the interviewer, try to engage with the interviewer. If you are assuming something, if you are thinking something, if you are giving in a number, just have a discussion
Mm,
with the interviewer. Like if I'm discussing with you, I should always check without, like if I'm giving residential area 30%, whether I can take the same. If I'm taking commercial as 25%, whether can I assume the same, because this interviewer
mm,
holds a very good knowledge about the industry. And you should think like if you are taking the permission that the numbers you are taking is correct, because if your numbers are going to be correct in the correct in the initial, then you are going to land into a solution, else you are going to totally break into the problem. So here
mm,
we would assume that the residential area is going to be 30%, commercial is 25%, because Delhi do not have much commercial area, nor we are having forest and agriculture areas for 10%, and others are like 15%. Others include malls and like any other places,
mm,
like some school, or let's say other places. So that comes to about 30 plus 25, 75 plus 85, and like this total area, which left to about 20% area on the roads.
mm,
So now basically a area of a road is going to be 20% of this 1800, which is approximately 360 square kilometer. But when you are going to guesstimate, you should know that you are not going to have any calculator along your side, and you should take out numbers which is very easily to calculate. You should approximate the numbers to your nearest one, because you are doing
mm,
everything in the approximation. So you can confirm with the interviewer that I'm going to take not 360, I'm going to take 350, so that it is a multiple of 5 and it is very easy to take percentages and very easy to divide.
mm,
Okay. Now,
mm,
when it comes to about road, there are about three types of road. And why we have break down roads into three major type is because each road have different type of width. Like in your residential
mm.
area, the roads are of different width. Like
Yeah.
state aid roads are going to be different, and let's say a center road, which is like connecting between two states, is going to be a much wider road. So the area is going to be different. The length is going to be different in each case. So we would
Mm,
assume that the municipal road or your normal residential roads is going to be 35%, state roads is going to be approximately 50%, and center roads to be 15%. This is based totally on my understanding, and when I have seen through these roads, you can have different numbers. You can take 40% municipal, state road as 40%, and center as 20% as well. It is
mm,
totally up to your alignment that you are totally guessing those numbers. So when you take 35%, it's going to be 125 square kilometer of municipal road. When you take 50% of state road, you are going to land into 175 square kilometer. And when you have central road, you are going to have 15%.
mm,
Now, when you are going to into municipal road, these are generally society roads, small interconnection roads, where there is no
mm.
petrol pump. You would see that the petrol pumps are generally on the main roads, correct?
Yeah.
And in terms of central roads, generally these are highways and flyovers will have petrol pump on almost every road. So basically, when I am going into this, I would cancel this particular section and I would deep delve into these two particular areas, and this will be basically removing majority of my chunk in my calculation. Now, when it
Okay.
comes to about Central Road, which is 50%, which is 175 square kilometer, I am going to have a main road, I am going to have flyovers and highways, and I am going to have other interconnectivity roads. And on the basis of that, I divided that into percentage number so that I can have approximate percentage of those. And then I assume the width of those roads. Like a main road is of 15-meter width. Basically, a flyover is going to be of 20-meter width. And let's say a central road is going to be a 10-meter width. When I'm going to divide these numbers, I'm going to get a number of how many kilometers of roads are there, and this will land into approximately 15,000 kilometer length of road is there in India, in Delhi. Are we aligned till now? Any doubts?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now these roads are not going to be that these are going to be 100% roads. These are going to be forest agriculture roads, residential area based roads, commercial offices, infrastructure, and industries. So this is like, I guess, the second approach. Let's go with the first approach itself. Then we have, let's say, 15,000 kilometers. Now what you can do is you generally need to divide this by 3. Let's say I assume that every 3 kilometers there is a road, and when you divide by 3 you will get the number of petrol pumps in India. Whenever in Delhi, sorry, whenever you are in a guesstimate question, just assume that you are always guessing a number. You are always thinking about a number, right? So here, always in the end of the interview, say that I am going to take a plus minus 5% of approximation, so that once you are having an approximation, you have might reduce the number, you might have increased the number. So take plus minus 5% or plus minus 2% based on like the overall. Like in this condition, 15,000 is the number. Plus minus 5% wouldn't be causing a significant impact. But assume, let's say it is population of India is 3.5 million. If you are going to say plus minus 5%, it's a very huge varying number. So assume 2% in that case. But surely sure to say that go with the approximation numbers for sure, like in the end of the calculation. So this is like a downward approach. This is there are two ways of solving a guesstimate. That is the bottom up approach and downward approach. Bottom up approach is that you go into a problem and break down into solution. Second is the top up approach, where you go into the solution, like who is going to use n, and you go from the bottom to top to know which is going to be my final number to support your number. So let's go with the second problem statement. Let's pick up a random another problem so that we can think of the more better solutions. Let's go for burgers. Traffic light would be simple. CCTV camera is going to be much more simple. Schools is going to be a much bigger problem to discuss. Okay, let's assume that Canara Bank wants to install number of ATMs in Delhi. How they would go with this approach? So basically, an ATM is going to be into let's solve. So Ramandeep, here you can also have a discussion with me, and I would be speaking in front. And let's assume you are an interviewer. So
Sure.
when you have given me a problem number of ATMs in Delhi. So ATMs is basically two, as according to me. Whether it can be a standalone ATM or ATM which can be along with a bank. Like I have seen this into the two case. Now I would assume that the population of Delhi is 1.5 crore. This number should be an exact number. You should be having some knowledge around what is the population of Delhi, what is the population of India, how many constituencies do we have, and very high level estimates so that you can calculate the number of. Now, currently, most of the interviewers also use the number of GST registrations. There is a number that have been revealed from the GST. This GST number is a very helpful thing to know who are the main persons in India who are very highly rich. So that is also used in the calculation. So think of the numbers from the number from the GST as well. So moving on ahead, like 1.5 crore is the population of Delhi, and I'm assuming that 25% is going to be aged below and 75% is going to be an opening an account. Basically, anyone cannot open account currently. Like if you go through the ATM, the majority of the crowd is going to be much more greater than 16 year of age or 18 year of age. So I'm assuming that 75% is eligible. So out of these, it is a number which is there cited on Google as well, that 90% of them do not have an account. Like being a college student, being like in family, generally one people have an account or two people have an account. So I'm assuming 90% of people do not have an account. So 9 by 10 into 3 by 4 into 1.5 crores, a number that 1 crore people roughly have a basically basically an account which are going to hold this card. Now I'm assuming that a bank.
This is the number of like having an account, I think
Yeah,
so.
this is the number of
About
accounts.
18 years of age.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, whenever I am seeing basically a branch in my local area, a branch will
mm,
cater to approximately 5 to 10 kilometers of area. Like in my area,
mm,
it's going to be 5, it's in your area, it's going to be 8. So, assuming that it caters to about 5,000 people, assuming that there are going to be 5,000 people in that particular area, is going
mm,
to be an easy number. I'm going to see that there are about 2,000 bank branches that is going to be there. This is
mm.
basically my problem area here, like I'm calculating, which is along with the bank branch.
The second part of the question.
Correct. That is the case. And now, when we are having 2,000 bank branches, every bank branch is not going to have an ATM. It is going to be the
Mm,
case that 60% do have an ATM along with the branch. And when you take 60%, you are going to get 1,200 ATMs from there. Are we cool
mm,
with like the bank branch? And why we have picked this first is the major question is that because calculating this was a very easy solution.
mm. And how are we coming on to this number like 60%?
That is the major
60% ATM.
that is the major thing. That is basically a guesstimate. You are
Okay.
guessing those numbers. You need to discuss this with interviewer as well. Like if you are assuming any
Mm,
number, if you are doing any calculation, if you have any algorithm in your mind, just cite it to an interviewer
mm,
and ask him in upfront that I'm going to think in this way. Are you aligned with me? He's also going to
mm,
say that let's modify this, because he thinks that the number which you are going to cite is going to be different if he will go with this approach. So interviews generally help you along with that particular thing.
mm,
So let's say we go to the standalone ATMs, like which is like the ATMs which is generally like random ATMs that are there. The ATMs can be on your metro stations, it can be in your markets, it can be in your hospitals, and it can be in your residential areas and the roadside ATMs as well.
mm,
So assuming that there are about 5 metro routes in Delhi, it's increasing. So you can assume this number, and you can approximate 35 stations on a metro line, two ATMs at an
mm,
average on either side. Like there are going to be ATMs on multiple sides. So you are going to have
mm,
5 into 35 station into 4, which is 700 ATMs. Like metro station
mm,
generally contain two ATMs on left and right side. Similarly, you
mm,
go into the markets and hospitals. Like let's go into the hospital. So one bed is per 1,000 person. This is an approximate number. Like
mm,
we always believe that no one goes in an hospital, so we assume that one bed caters to about 1,000 people, and we know that the population was 1.5 crore. When we divide by 3,000, it is 30 bed per this is like approximate number of beds which is required.
yeah.
And now assuming that there are approximately 30 beds in a hospital, because there are major hospitals and minor hospitals as well. So I'm assuming 30 beds
Mm,
per hospital, so this means 500 hospitals. And when I'm assuming that there are approximately going to be 3 ATMs, like different banks would be having different ATMs in hospital, so it
mm,
counts to about 1,500 ATMs. So this is how we calculate. This is basically not any solution that I'm providing. This is basically a method, like how to think into more better ways.
mm.
And
Can we
the
break it down into the major hospitals and the small hospitals? Like
yeah, yeah.
50% of the hospitals will be small hospitals, 20% of the hospitals will be major hospitals, and
Mm,
the ATMs can be three, and in small hospitals,
correct.
one ATM only,
And
like that.
totally correct, totally correct. Whenever you are breaking more into further, you are getting more into the chances of selection. If you are breaking it into
Mm-hmm.
further, breaking into further, you are actually going like if you would have gone through the coding, we have a recursion, right? What is the basic principle of
Mm-hmm.
recursion? You break down the problem will tell you the solution, and you will calculate the final result in the outcome. So similar is the problem solving approach for a guesstimate. You break down the problem into much more smaller problems, you get to the smaller solution problem, and in the end it will give you to the solution to the major problem.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a case for a
Okay.
guesstimate. And what I would be prescribing you, like we have gone through majorly of how to approach a guesstimate. So basically, this book, this is my one of my college
Mm-hmm.
seniors book, which he have created manually. But this is approximately going to
Mm-hmm.
have 60 questions, and if you are going to pick 20 questions a day, in 3 days you would be having a very nice knowledge around guesstimates. So I'm going to attach this into my deck, which is I'm going to share with you. You can go through
Mm-hmm.
these questions. If you have any doubt, just let me know. We can have a basically a question on the next session. We are going to have 10 minutes on the discussion on your guesstimates, and you would go through that. Whenever you are approaching a guesstimate, try to think that you are having a whiteboard. Put down the question and erase everything in your mind. Try to break the problem
Mm-hmm.
first into many stages as you can. Think whether it is the right solution. Think whether the interviewer is going to be thinking. Speak loudly. Speak
Mm-hmm.
in front of the like this whiteboard and say that whether I'm solving it right, whether I'm solving it right, whether the numbers
Mm-hmm.
are right. Try to do a good mental math. just do like
Hmm.
what is like 10% of 200, which is like very very quick number. It should be like in
Yeah.
your top of the mind that you are not calculating exact. The interview is not
Hmm.
checking your mathematical skill. The interview is majorly checking
Hmm.
how much fast you can think of a number when you are going to be in a front of a, let's say, a CEO. Try to
Hmm.
think, let's say, Swiggy, let's say park you are in a Park Plus company, and now you are
Hmm.
looking, you are having a discussion with your business head that we want to launch, let's say, car scrubs, like basically a
Hmm.
scrub which can wash cars. But
Hmm.
you don't know the number of how many cars are there in India. You never know, you're not going to estimate the number of how many scrubs will be sold and what's the total estimation market, which is TAM, like total
Yeah.
addressable market. How much is the total addressable market? So none of the
Hmm.
stakeholder would be impressed by your thoughts, and he would be thinking that this person is not going to help me out. So you should be
Hmm.
data backed. You should have this assumption. You should have proper reasoning behind your assumption and everything in front of the stakeholders. And this is how it is helpful in a product person, and how it helps you to make into a good product person.
Hmm.
So this is like a very high level overview of a guesstimate. Go through this assignment, go through this, and I'm 100% sure that you would be having majority of the questions from this. But assume that you are not going to get question out of this, you get the solution out of it. Never believe that the solution here is correct. Like the 90, I would say 50 to 60% solution here is not going to be correct. It's just a way to approach your questions. Try to
Yeah.
build that approach, and we are going to have a discussion tomorrow in the next session where we are going to have a 10 minutes very quick guesstimate round where you are going to solve the problem and I'm going to
Hmm.
be discussing with an interviewer. And in the next session we are going to cover what is product design and how it works and basically how to design a product.
Sure.
Are we good?
Yeah. 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 We are good.